I will serve you, my sweet.
This is our 4th year of working with the Missionaries of the Poor in Kingston. We started in 2009 after Father Charles from Missionaries of the Poor came to our parish. That year, 16 of us went to Jamaica. Each year, prior to the trip, we collected donations of supplies and money for the use of the brothers in Jamaica. We carried much of that with us in our luggage and boxes on the airline. This year, we went in 2 groups. The first group was led by Lynn Ditlow, who was a registered nurse. They went to Jamaica for the primary purpose of giving over 500 flu vaccinations to the brothers and high-risk residents. Lynn and her group were there when Hurricane Sandy hit Kingston directly. It was midway through their visit. Kingston was without power for most of a week. Flight cancellations in the U.S. on their return forced Marie and Lynn to rent a car and drive from Miami to Pennsylvania. The second group was 9 of us from 6 different parishes. Our group traveled to Baltimore Airport by 3:30 in the morning for our 6:20 flight. Meanwhile, Hurricane Sandy was going up the coast and heading directly for our homes. Fortunately, neither the brothers in Jamaica nor any of us suffered any significant damage from the storm. Brother Christopher met us at the airport, and we were transported to Sacred Heart Monastery for delivery of the supplies and for lunch with the brothers. We had our first opportunity to see lush Jamaican foliage on the grounds. After lunch, we were transported to the new Jesus Redeemer Residence Hall. When we were here last year, it was a shell of a building undergoing extensive renovation. It has been transformed into a residence for the senior brothers, visitors' lodging, and a soup kitchen on the ground floor for the local community. On Thursday, we had a chance to help with the soup kitchen operation. We served about 70 people that day.
This is the chapel.
The chapel is on the ground floor. As with other buildings in Jamaica, the ceramic tile floors are beautiful. It's amazing how 1 or 2 patterns can make a very beautiful floor.
Ceramic tiles.
The second floor is the brothers' residence and our community room where we had our meals. On the 3rd floor, you go out to the deck where wash lines and wash tubs are located.
Laundry for visitors. And a rather spectacular view of the city.
The women's showers and sleeping area is behind the partition on the right, and the men's dorm is the remainder of the 3rd floor.
So that's Prince of Peace.
1 block away,
You
you can see the brothers' Prince of Peace Monastery and also the Sacred Heart Monastery. An important part of the pilgrimage is joining into the brothers' prayer life. We arose every morning at 5:30 a.m. for the Angelus, morning prayer, and Mass before breakfast. Midday prayer was in the chapel at the apostolate where we were working that day. Evening prayer was at 5 p.m. The rosary and adoration was at 6 p.m. and dinner around 7. 9 o'clock was night prayer and lights out no later than 10. Our work was to assist the brothers in caring for their residents in many of the centers. There are 7 centers they manage in Kingston. The brothers call them apostolates. All of the residents have either physical or mental handicaps, or they are simply homeless people, cast out by their families. The apostolates are located in downtown Kingston, which is largely slums, but of course, that's where the needy people are.
Yeah. Good morning, Teresa. Great.
It's such a contrast to see school students always in their uniforms. Much of the Brothers and Visitors travel is in the MOP chicken trucks. Quite an experience. About 8:30 a.m. each day, we were transported to the apostolate, where we were to work that day. The mornings were spent helping to dress and care for residents. Mid-morning, there was a brief prayer service for residents, where we sang, the brothers read scripture, and explained it. We helped with the resident lunchtime at 11 o'clock. Then we helped clean up from lunch before our midday prayer and our lunch. We went back to work until it was time to return to the Visitor Center between 3 and 4 p.m. Bethlehem Center has 4 main areas. First is the church upstairs, and a number of offices and supply rooms are located around it. The second area is for infants, the third for young boys, and the fourth for older boys. Sadly, many of the infants and young boys have been rejected by their families because of their deformities that make feeding and dressing them quite a challenge. I was recently with Andrew in Bethlehem Center, a boy whose distorted body cannot move from his bed. I reached down, looked into his smiling face, touched his head to say, "God be with you," and noticed teardrops running down his smiling face. Some of the older boys go to a local school. Anthony is a boy I met 4 years ago, and he keeps getting bigger and heavier each year. Lord's Place consists of 2 sections. The front section is for HIV residents. Some are completely bedridden, while others can get around in wheelchairs. We had a chance to talk with them, and found that during the hurricane, they simply moved all the furniture to the center of this room. Of course, in Jamaica, they have iron grillwork, but no windows. The rear section of Lord's Place is for women. One of our favorite residents has been in Lord's Place for 7 or 8 years. She is wheelchair-bound, and her name is Charita. We get to help with toothbrushing after meals. The women love to sing and dance after lunch. Most residents are delighted to have our company and help. We also found that they just love having their pictures taken and are eager to see themselves in a digital camera. All residents' clothes at all apostolates are washed by hand by local volunteers and often dried on rooftops if they're available. The hot Jamaica sun dries things quickly. Faith Center was the first apostolate started by Father Holum. Since some of us have been there for up to 4 years, We know Roger, the crippled Frisbee player. Jason, the boy with a horribly deformed face, and Jesse, who looks after everyone. This trip, we got to meet George Pittman, who is blind from untreated glaucoma. He's been at Faith Center for just about 1 year. During these trips, we learn new skills, such as shaving other people's faces, clipping hair, applying lotion, and feeding people who are blind. Good Shepherd is another apostolate for men. It has both an upstairs sleeping area and a small courtyard.
Trying clothes on the rooftop. Okay, see the boys? See everyone? Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
This man named Donovan is probably the most famous resident. He's been there for something like 18 years, and when Pope John Paul came to Jamaica, he met Donovan and actually kissed his tiny feet. The other resident who is well known is Sheldon, here in this picture taken with James's iPhone. Father Holung has said, "The poor will remember you." This year I did not get to spend a day at Good Shepherd, but when Sheldon learned that I was in a truck on the way back to the residence, Donovan and Sheldon insisted that I get off the truck and come inside to see them. Jacob's Well is an apostolate for women. Applying lotion to a woman's hands and legs is greatly appreciated, probably partly due to the act of being cared for by another person. Another important job we do at all the apostolates is serving water to everyone. In spite of the shade, it is still 85 to 90 degrees every day in October. In most of the apostolates, there are residents who are capable to help others, and they do. Because of transportation conflicts, volunteers at Jacob's Well decided to walk a few blocks back to the residence in the company of the brothers. They had a chance to see downtown Kingston up close and personal, instead of through a van window. Holy Innocents Center. We did not visit this center this year. It is being run by the Sisters of the Missionaries of the Poor, taking care of pregnant women and infants. Some years ago, Father Holung was given 60 acres on a mountaintop about an hour's drive north of Kingston. He wanted a place where the brothers could get away from their daily pressures. They quite literally cleared the jungle and built a beautiful retreat center on top of the mountain. It is named Mount Tabor. It has a central dining hall, chapel, and 2 dorm wings. We arrived late Thursday afternoon. The atmosphere was very hazy because of all the smoke from the fires burning off debris from the hurricane. Below the retreat center is a small farm of pigs, rabbits, cattle, goats, and chickens for the brothers' use. When we arrived, a group of 20 Canadian MOP supporters had just finished bringing and installing a solar panel system to replace the generator for power to the retreat center.
It's quite hazy here. I think the reason is because there's a lot of fires burning.
The brothers have just completed a separate residence for themselves. They are a contemplative community and normally observe silence. When visitors like us live in the residence hall, we're just not that quiet. One of the local volunteers went over to the next hillside and came back with breadfruit, coconut, cocoa, and sugarcane. The breadfruit had to be roasted first and then opened.
This is a piece of sugar cane.
Guess what? It tastes like bread.
They were
We tried chewing on sugarcane, but it's not that sweet.
over here. The local brothers and workers are doing different kinds of fruit. They're roasting breadfruit and passing out sugar cane to suck on.
Father Hulung served us dinner that evening.
What are you eating there, Andy? What do you have this trip?
Vegetables.
Vegetables. That's another. We have what? Do you know what that you're eating? What it's called?
Green stuff.
Green stuff. Spinach plus. No rice. We didn't get rice tonight. Oh, is there rice in it? Okay. There's our barbecue, man. Delicious barbecue. Now we have fried bananas or boiled bananas, I guess. And what's the other word again?
Callaloo.
Callaloo. Callaloo.
What's it made with?
New this year is a Way of the Cross up the road to the retreat center. James is the only person I know who made the climb. As we did in Kingston, we started each day with morning prayer and Mass, and continued the cycle of prayers through the day. Deacon Tom Allman was with our group and was able to serve at Masses. In addition to talks by Father Hulung, we had meditation times and discussion groups. On Sunday morning, we took pictures of the full group of retreatants, since many people had come to Jamaica just for the retreat. This is a picture of just our group. Notice how the air has cleared and the view is spectacular. Down the mountain from the retreat center, about a quarter of a mile, is the Beatitudes Center for Boys. We visited on Saturday and met Brother Richard. Next to the boys' home is the chapel, also built by the brothers and volunteers. The roof is used for the drying of clothes. Andy and I have Jamaican goddaughters, and we were able to meet them. A wonderful blessing. Sunday morning Mass is celebrated in the Beatitudes Chapel for the local community, transported in one of the MOP trucks.
Good morning.
Father Hayden was celebrant. As soon as Mass was over, we had to get back up to the retreat center and head for the airport. The brothers had planned for a bus to transport us, but it was delayed, so instead 12 of us and luggage piled into the van. The van had a soft rear tire under that load. Coming down the mountain, we had to cross a washout due to the hurricane. The brothers were prepared by bringing along a board in the van. Many of us climbed out, the board held, and then we continued on to the airport. The brother doing the driving stopped about 3 times along the way until he could find a service station with a working air pump. No problem. God will provide. Our arrival back in Baltimore was about midnight. A safe ending to an awesome week. We pray that you may join us in Kingston someday. Peace.
I will serve you, my sweet Jesus, my beloved Lord, who leadeth me. I will serve you, my sweet Jesus, my sweet Jesus, to